Melania Trump may be in big trouble in a case involving the Epstein files, and it's all because she brought it on herself. She's screwing over herself. She's screwing over Donald. You will recall that she has continued to threaten journalists and reporters who dare report that there may be connections between her and Jeffrey Epstein. She says to even insinuate that there are connections, it's defamation. Oh, well, she's been threatening this journalist and that journalist. And it's like, Melania, there are lots of photos of you, Donald, Jeffrey, Ghislaine. There's at least a few of them that are out there. Let's just say that. So maybe you want to just come clean about it. So she threatened the wrong person, as you know, Michael Wolff, who you've seen many times here be interviewed on the MeidasTouch network. He was Trump's former biographer. And he knows Melania, he knows Donald, and there's nothing, I think, more that Michael Wolff would like to do than learn more about them. And when she threatened to sue him, when she gave him a deadline because he wrote articles about her purported connections with Epstein, which she denies, Michael Wolff said, I'm not going to apologize to you by your deadline. I'm not going to be afraid that you're threatening to sue me for $1 billion. Author Michael Wolff sued her in New York State court under a theory of her committing anti-SLAPP violations. These are strategic lawsuits against public participation. In other words, he's saying, I'm invoking my First Amendment right as a journalist to report on you, and you threatening to sue me is chilling my speech. And Wolff argues, I have a cause of action under New York law to sue you by you threatening to sue me to block my reporting. Let me go about my profession. So he filed a lawsuit for injunctive relief, and he is really interested in getting that discovery, finding out and asking her questions about what it is that she knows or doesn't know. We all know Melania's background is shrouded in question marks. She said she graduated from a university in Slovenia that she didn't really graduate from. It's a very murky past. How did she get here? You know, there was this, she met Donald Trump at the Kit Kat Club in New York. She was brought here by a modeling agency that also helped introduce European girls and women to wealthy businessmen. And there was a party, Pablo threw this party, and that Donald Trump was at the Kit Kat Club, and that's how they met. There's just a lot of question marks, and no one really knows what really happened there. So Michael Wolff's like, bet, I'm going to sue you. I want discovery. Show up, Melania. So as you know from the prior videos I made, Wolff has tried to serve Melania with the lawsuit, and he said that she's been avoiding service, that the lawyer who threatened Wolff, who said, please contact me if you have any questions or concerns, or if you want to issue the apology to Melania. Wolff called up that lawyer. His name is Brito, is his last name, and said, okay, I have the lawsuit. Can I serve you with it? Because you told me that you're the main contact. And then Brito, Alejandro Brito, the lawyer for Melania, goes, nope, I'm not accepting service. And then Wolff said that Melania has been hiding from him. So Wolff says he goes to Trump Tower in New York, that he spoke with somebody in the lobby and asked if Melania lives here currently. And the person said, yes, but I'm not allowed to give this to her on your behalf. But according to Wolff, the bellman or the person who worked in the lobby confirmed that Melania lived there. So what Melania did, though, was she didn't accept service of the complaint. Instead, she filed what's called a removal action in federal court, where she tried to remove Michael Wolff's state court case because he filed in New York State court because he says, I'm a New Yorker, she's a New Yorker, we're fighting over New York issues. It should go a New York State case. Melania files in federal court, not a lawsuit against Wolff. She has not sued Wolff for defamation, which you should ask yourself. If you believe that he defamed you and you gave him a deadline, why wouldn't you sue him and meet the deadline? You're Melania. You have all of these resources. In this case, you're represented by DLA Piper, one of the top law firms. Alejandro Brito is not DLA Piper. He's like a solo practitioner. He was the guy who Donald Trump got to file all of the ridiculous, stupid lawsuits that Trump filed back in when Trump was not in office. But DLA Piper's a top firm. So Melania, why don't you get DLA Piper to sue Michael Wolff? What are you afraid about? She hasn't sued Wolff. What she's done in federal court is what's called removal. She took Wolff's case, where Wolff's still the plaintiff, she's the defendant, and removed it to federal court because she says, I live in Florida, not New York, and because of something called diversity jurisdiction, this is taught in law school, but because I'm from one state and you're from another state, diverse states, and the amount in controversy is over $75,000, this belongs in federal court, not state court. Then when she moved it to federal court, she wants it transferred to Florida, saying that it should go to Florida. Where she wants the case to go is to Judge Eileen Cannon. So she's doing a two-step. Bring it to federal court, transfer it, ask the federal judge to transfer it to Florida. And meanwhile, even if you don't get it transferred there, this will cause massive, massive delays because Wolff wants to get her in a deposition. Wolff wants to take discovery of her and ask her these questions about potential connections or connections that exist or don't exist, but to put her under oath once and for all. And this is why, in my opinion, and I'm giving you my opinion, I have a First Amendment right to make this video, right? And give you my opinion throughout this video. But I think Melania realizes that if she sues Michael Wolff, she opens herself up for discovery, and he can ask her questions about Trump, about Epstein, that she doesn't want to answer. So he called her bluff when she said, I would sue you, and now all she's doing is removing it to federal court. Well, Wolff isn't done because Wolff's not accepting her averment, her representation that she lives in Florida. He goes, The person who was in Trump Tower says you live in Trump Tower in New York. I don't really believe that you live full-time in Mar-a-Lago. I believe that you spend the majority of your time in New York, is what Wolff is basically arguing. You may say you live in Mar-a-Lago, whether that's for tax purposes. This is the argument I'm giving. I'm not giving you what I'm just telling you what the argument would be. So the argument would be you are living in Florida either for tax purposes or just to say you live in Florida. They have, other rules there, laws there. You prefer to be in Florida. But in actuality, we know you're actually living in New York. And so what Wolff is saying is, before we can determine if you're even allowed to file motions in federal court, I want to do a remand because Melania's powerful attorneys, not Brito. Brito's a solo. DLA Piper, she's probably paying, I don't know if they're doing it pro bono for her because she's the first lady, but those DLA Pipers will be charging $2,000, $3,000 an hour. They put teams of lawyers on there. They're a powerful law firm. They go in, they write to the federal judge, we're ready to do this motion to dismiss. We think there's no personal jurisdiction. There's no subject matter jurisdiction. First, transfer this case to Florida. But if you don't transfer the case to Florida because she's a Florida resident, we think that there are other issues that we want you to address. And we don't think you have jurisdiction over this case. New York federal judge, let's bring this case to Florida. And then the judge says, okay, well, I'll consider that argument. And then Wolff's lawyers come in and say, whoa. We don't believe that she lives in Florida. We want to take jurisdictional discovery is what it's called. We want jurisdictional discovery. So we want Melania's deposition right now. And we want the deposition on where she lives. And what Wolff's lawyers are saying is, we're going to prove to you that this case belongs in New York State court, not New York federal, New York State, and that she's actually a New York resident and that she's not telling you the truth is the argument that's being made by Wolff when she said she lives in Mar-a-Lago more. If you think about it, Barron went to school in NYU in New York, but then I think he's going to school in DC now. I don't think he liked it in New York or something like that. So he's doing a satellite program in DC, which is suspicious and weird. And I'm sure there's more going on there. But we know how close Melania is to Barron. It would make sense that we know Melania wasn't living in the White House. So Wolff's point is, so you're telling me right now that while Donald Trump's been in DC, that Melania has just been by herself at Mar-a-Lago at like the club where you have the weird, the wedding with with the furry characters and the furry events and the Gatsby parties. That doesn't seem like what Melania likes. We think Melania actually lives in New York at Trump Tower, and that we will prove that to you. So what Wolf's lawyer filed in this is this letter brief, and this letter brief says, to the Honorable Mary Kay Viscasil, Judge, we want to take jurisdictional discovery right here, and we believe she lives in New York. In advance of us making our motion for remand, we request time in which to conduct this jurisdictional discovery. Any refusal to provide such discovery would create an adverse presumption against Ms. Trump if she opposes the remand motion. So in other words, we expect her to resist our jurisdictional discovery. And when she resists, when she doesn't turn over the documents, then we believe that's an adverse inference. And then you need to remand the case to New York State Court, where we filed it originally, not federal court. So she can't do the two-step and get this case moved essentially to Judge Eileen Cannon. Now, in terms of jurisdictional discovery, what Wolf's lawyers will want to focus on when they get Melania under oath is to try to find out how many days she's been living there versus how many days she's been living in Florida. So how would you go about that? You would want to request plane tickets. Obviously, she probably flies private, so you would want to request flight manifest, whether that's Air Force One or others, travel documentations. Where is she getting her mail? Where is she getting her credit cards? Where is she so you would do all of this discovery to determine where she's actually living. And then you eventually take a deposition of her and you ask her, maybe you even have to take the deposition of Barron or somebody else to confirm that they are living in the same unit together while he's been at NYU. Now, this could be a big deal. This is obviously delaying what Wolf wants. Wolf just wants his day in court. She threatened him. He claims that's a cause of action. He wants to get this case going. She's putting up all of these roadblocks. But if Wolf can prove that Melania is actually New York and not Florida, and she's been representing Florida likely for state tax purposes and for other things, if she's actually not really in Florida, that's a big, big deal that can carry with it an entire other set of implications, which we need not get into now. But now Melania may have found that a deposition will be taken of her on jurisdictional grounds. One other point I will make is you have Melania right now in DC. And it's been so bizarre. She held this on Friday, this bizarre press conference on AI. And I'm just thinking to myself, if this is how you're going to perform in a deposition, could we get this deposition on video so we can play it on the MeidasTouch network? Here's Melania at this presser on AI on Friday. Play this clip.
The age of imagination is a new era, powered by artificial intelligence, where one's curiosity can be satisfied almost magically in seconds. You are fortunate to have the capability to fulfill your dreams through the power of learning, with AI serving as the primary engine for creative exploration.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Strange stuff, but Melania stepping right into it. Hit subscribe, help us get to 6 million, and thanks so much for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.